There are, in the aftermath of a disaster, unfortunately, with so many other things that you might be dealing with, there are also a host of legal issues that can come up, but also that you can prevent if you can get a little information in your hands early on or even in advance of a disaster to prepare yourself. So some examples that come to mind would be related to housing or studio liabilities. Often if either your dwelling or your studio is destroyed to a point where it's no longer habitable, many people assume, well, then I don't owe rent anymore, right? Or I'm not responsible for the mortgage payment. Unfortunately, that's not true. There are steps that you have to go through to notify your landlord or to notify your lender in order for them to give you a forbearance on those payments. If you don't, you would be legally responsible for those funds, on top of having just suffered a great loss. That's probably the last thing you need at that time. So those are examples of how to very immediately after an emergency, or ideally having prepared yourself in advance a little just to know what kind of things you should expect and what might be coming down the pipeline, that there are some steps you need to take really quickly to protect yourself from incurring further liabilities in the midst of a devastating loss. Some other issues that could be related could be employment related. So for example, if you are not able to fulfill on commissions or delivery to a gallery or a purchaser of your work because your studio has been delivered, you want to both look at those contracts to make sure that there's a clause in there that protects you in the event of what we call a force majeure, something beyond your control, and to go through the proper notification steps to make sure that you can avoid responsibility for those future obligations. And it can be hard to be thinking about what's next when you're in the middle of such a difficult disaster, which is why it's always good to take a few minutes to think about, what would I do if the worst happened, and what would be my first steps, and have those at hand so that when you are in that difficult emotional state, you're ready to move forward.